Great evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. How's it going?
Hi, Jessica.
Hey,
Good
Jess.
evening. Hi, Jess.
Hello.
Hey, Jess.
Hey, guys.
Good night.
Happy
Hey,
Sunday.
Jess.
Hey, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. All right. So, we're going to pick up where we left off on Monday's call, and then we're going to go into the markets. But I had promised a couple people that I was going to circle back on Sunday call, and I just wanted to make a note, so that I made sure I didn't forget. So it was AO, yeah, Ray, Stacy, Justin, and Michael 2504. All right. So if any of you guys are on the call presently, I'll say this at the end too, or halfway through the call. If any of you guys are on the call presently, I see Stacy. Yeah, so go ahead and ask your questions so then we can proceed to the call. And sorry, I wasn't able to get to you guys on Monday. Sorry, we ran out of time. But okay, so let's go. Again, happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
My question. I actually had
Happy Sunday to you, Jess. I like your setup.
Thanks. Haven't been back here in a while, but okay. What were you saying, Stacy?
Okay. I was saying I have two questions. The first question is when we are in consolidation. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so when we're in consolidation and price breaks out of consolidation, the question I had was when you draw the fib for once it breaks out, does point A start at the bottom of the impulse, or does point A start at the bottom of the structure for that consolidation?
Well, it depends on where you are in the market because you can also draw a lot of fibs in the midst of consolidation also. So you always want to start a fib at the bottom of if you're on an uptrend, you always want to start it on the bottom of an impulse going up to that next high, but you might have multiple fibs. So you can have, like, let's say it's the bottom of an impulse of a structure, and then the market starts consolidating and then it continues. That's ultimately what you want. The consolidation at that point, though, would just be used as your pullback. So, like, even when we have our pullbacks, we classify them as pullback, flag, correction, like all of those different things. But it could also just be consolidation before continuing higher if it's a higher time frame. But if it's a smaller time frame and you're consolidating in the midst, you can have fibs inside of that consolidation area. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Did that clarify your question?
Yes, so you're saying it depends on the structure, whether it's like a smaller structure or I'm drawing it for the larger. So
Absolutely.
the larger structure, I can start it at the very bottom of where the structure starts. But if it's like a smaller structure, I can start point A at the bottom of the impulse of the breakout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I get it. Now, my second question is, I've noticed that on pullbacks, sometimes price doesn't hit TP1. And I remember you saying, I know you always say minor structure can always be easily broken, but I didn't think that meant that price wouldn't reach a TP1. So I wanted to clarify, is it possible that during pullbacks on minor structure, price wouldn't hit TP1? Or perhaps maybe I didn't draw my fib correctly. But I wanted to clarify if it's just me or if that's what typically can happen.
Well, it's not necessarily typical. It could be a scenario. You would have to kind of share it for me to see, because it could be a scenario where you didn't draw the fib correctly. But then it could also be a scenario where price might hit that fib structure later. Um, because price could just be pulling back further than what we had previously anticipated. Does that make sense? Before actually reaching.
Yes.
Because remember, with a pullback, price can pull back to the 23.6, 38.2, 50%, 61.8, 78, 80, or 100 before. And so it might consolidate. Let's say it consolidates a little bit and then like pulls back even further, where it might be looking like price is now reversing, but it could just be pulling back to a further level than what you anticipated before reaching that next level. Does that make sense? Or it could just be a super higher time frame consolidation where you have like when we talk about the stopping points, where you have to reach a stopping point. Well, where I always say take profits at the stopping points. Don't just bet on, I don't even want to say bet, because obviously like we're traders, not gamblers, but don't just be 100% sold on that TP being the end all be all. You have to look at everything. Does that make sense? Do I need to share?
Yeah, it does. I'm looking at the specific scenario I had was on GU. So I guess when you go over GU, which I'm sure you will today, we can look at it. It's the pullback that's on GU, just the previous pullback before the current impulse.
Okay. I can.
Did I say my screen, or do we just wait until you go over it and then?
Well, I mean, you can share, or I can share mine, and then you can tell me where you're talking about if you want to do that. It's up to you.
Okay. Okay, let me.
And I will say, to Jess's point, G, you actually did do what she said. It was kind of a higher time frame consolidation, and it just hit a negative 27.
Just trying to see if somebody was going to catch it, or if some people caught it last week, or if somebody was in it. But dang it. Oh, it was so beautiful. Okay, let's just shout out to all the runs that happened this past week. Because remember, 2 weeks ago, we were in the midst of consolidation. And even remember, I was like, I wanted to do that call on consolidation, but it was a lot of fundamental news happening at the time. And it's like, sometimes I'm like, when I already have videos on consolidation and somebody can just watch, let me pick the current times, because obviously people do need to be aware of what's happening right now. You know what I'm saying? Like the market is moving. Let me not just say that. The administration is causing a lot of volatility in the market, but this is the thing, is that it's always, remember when I told you guys a long time ago that news, from a technical perspective, news just pushes the market where it needs to go faster, period, point blank. Like, oh my God. Who just put that thumbs up on my thing? Was it my thumbs that just did that, or did it?
I think when people get excited on their post or their lives or whatever, it'll automatically do that. Sometimes you'll get balloons. It's just crazy.
That is really awkward, because I was like, did I do that? What happened? But
it does it on
yeah. So I was just I was gonna ask if somebody had caught the buy this week. That was absolutely beautiful. Did anybody else catch it? Please say yes.
I caught some of it, but I exited. I exited a bit early, but I caught the impulse when the news came out. I think it was when PCE came out, or one of the news events came out on Wednesday. I caught the impulse.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm about to.
I sent a request to share. Okay, you can share yours then.
Okay, all right, hold on. Let me just get this. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
No.
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Oh, hold on. Let me exit out of this YouTube real quick. I got a whole bunch of things up. Yeah, let me share my. Okay, can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So let's go to the one without, or do you want to do it from this one, or do you want me to give you a clearer chart?
No, this one is fine. So you see the pullback right before the current impulse that we're on, where your
Right here?
downward trend line is
What we have the break and retest?
before the break and retest. So at the top there,
Here.
sorry, on that same trend, yes. So you see where you're 61.8, I drew a fib here.
From here to here.
Yes.
So the only thing with that one is this trend line that's here.
Right.
Remember we
Okay.
talked about this trend line, I think with Denise. We had this trend line coming from below. This is a trend that's literally moving upward. Does that make sense? So at the point in which that trend line gets hit, sometimes you'll have areas where like price will push down, touch the fib before break the trend line to touch the fib structure. But the trend line was just respected. Does that make sense? So remember when we drew
Yeah.
the points that time on that call? I think it was honestly, I think it was like, I don't even remember what call it was. It wasn't too long ago though, because I remember we were going over this with Miss Denise had the questions about the trend line, and then we went over the trend line going here and this one, the current one that we're on. Remember that structure?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so all price did was respect that trend line. So that's what I mean by like sometimes if you have these stopping points, you always want to make sure you understand what you're around, because on a higher time frame, let's say that I was to hide all of these structures. So let's just hide everything real quick. So let's hide all of our current things. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so let's just look at this, right? Let's just look at this part right here. We are literally in a midst of consolidation if you look at this whole area. But that makes sense because all in all, we're sitting on a foundation level, our solid monthly line. Does that make sense? So all we did was go down and push and test that trend line. However, depending on where you were trading inside of this, there are multiple smaller fibs drawn all throughout the structure that's here. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because this is a fib structure, this is a fib structure, this is a fib structure. Does that make sense? But it's fib structures that's inside of consolidation. Everybody follow me? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We all on the same page?
Oh, and then Jessica, can you go back to your chart real quick?
Thank you, Jessica, for clarifying.
No problem.
So if you zoom out, like the first largest yeah. So that point right there where the purple zone is that you have the minor zone at, I drew a trend line from that point, the highest point down, where the consolidation of that ended. Like
Right here?
yeah, you start and then the last point going to the right before it did that big drop.
Over here?
Exactly. And I extended it because that was my first trend line, because that was the first initial high that I had.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, like, would you delete that because a new higher high had formed after that high initially formed? You know what I'm saying? Like,
What's your question about
because that's the new
line, though?
impulse.
But you're
You
asking,
said?
I said, what's your question about this particular trend line, though?
Right. Like, because that is still respected
Yeah.
the new impulse that happened. Okay. So I was just wondering if that would be valid.
Yeah, I mean, the trend line's valid. Like the whole thing with the trend lines is that you connect two trend lines drawn into the future. So this is a valid trend line. And as you see, we just retested it multiple times before pushing higher. I didn't have it drawn on there because this was more of an immediate trend line on a minor structure that happened first before this structure. But it's not invalid. It's still valid. It's
Okay.
just And like I say, a lot of this stuff depends on when you're in the market too. Like just because I don't have something on my chart, but you might have something on yours that I don't have, don't think that your chart is wrong just because I might not have it drawn because I might not have been in the market at for that particular move. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Sure, because I don't want like sometimes I feel like people compare their charts to mine directly, and it's like don't assume that you're wrong just because I don't have something on. Y'all know I'm super busy these days, so your girl be in the market 1 to 2 times a week max. Like I'm not in the market every day like I used to be. So when I'm like in my trades, I'm drawing everything at that point that's relevant. Like when y'all saw that bar spinner, it's because I took the buy this week, right? But like sometimes I might not be deep. Like I think I traded this sell because remember we had talked about this on a previous call. So I traded that and then I had traded a little bit in this consolidation like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And then this past week I took the buy, but I'm not taking 4 to 5 or 6 trades every week. So you might not see as much stuff on my charts that might be on somebody's charts that's trading every single day. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Um, and I also want to say that less is more in everything too, because obviously you can still make a lot of trades throughout the week. Like we've talked about this multiple times, but then not looking for trades all the time and like just setting your alerts and just letting the market move and flow to you, like that's how you make the most money because it's like overall what you're looking for opposed to constantly going into the market trying to look for something to take, because that's when I don't want to say you psych yourself out, but it's like you're so desperate for money that you might force things that aren't actually there, but you're forcing them because you're on the charts at the time. And it's like, oh my God, I need to trade. I need to trade. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay. All right. Michael, you are next. And if you weren't already on the call, we just went over Stacy, but the other people that I didn't get to on Monday is Ray, AO, Michael, which is next, and Justin. So if Justin, Ray, or AO is on here, then definitely I have you. Okay, Michael.
Hi, Jess. My question is on the assignments of the entries, you know how you said it's not always picture perfect.
Uh-huh.
Um, so if there's a break and there's no retest, so we shouldn't try to get on that.
Absolutely not. Unless
Okay.
you're experience and you have other reasons as to why you got in. But if you want to see a retest in order to take a trade just because you want to be as precise as possible and you want all of your confluences and all of your confirmations and everything aligned so that
So
you
we
can
just say minimum 3, like the negative 61.8 reversal, the
diverge.
zone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And also on that same assignment where we had to do the buys and sell zones where they had to like resistance turn into support, and also is it okay if we have a resistance level and also a support level, because that's part of your confluences as well, because the assignment says we break, there's a resistance that turns to support, then it tests that level again. But I'm just saying that there are some
You're
zones
talking about red box, blue box, green box, because that's not in your course.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's not in the course.
It is.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
No, red box, blue box, green box isn't in the course.
Okay.
Wait, I want to make sure I'm clear on what you're asking though, because we might be talking about 2 different things. But if you're
Yeah.
talking about red box, blue box, green box, that's not in the course.
No. It's the one where 30 minutes has a blue, then 1 hour has a green, and like different
You're talking
zones.
about the very last assignment where I go over higher time frames?
No, it's on the entries, confluences and entries.
Okay, well, let me make sure I'm following your question because I'm not following it. Because at first, when you said the test of support and resistances, I go over on red box, blue box, green box on calls, like
Oh,
on Monday calls, Sunday calls. But like, so because in the course, the entries are your trend line breaks and recess.
yeah,
So
and
that's
and there was the RSI divergence and the last portion of that assignment.
I think he's talking about the zones.
Yeah, the zones. Yes, yes.
okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so ask your question again.
So I'm saying, you know, on the zones, there's also resistance zones and there is like a support zones, and also there are zones where support turn into resistance and resistance turn into support.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, is it okay to draw those just to see? Because at the support zones, there's also resistance zones where price respects those levels, and also zones where supports turn into resistance.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I can do that as well.
Yeah, but I want to make sure I'm answering your question properly because I feel like I am a little bit
No,
lost.
the assignment says we should draw zones where supports turn into resistance.
Okay. So you were
Yeah,
just asking, is that okay?
yeah,
Oh yeah, that's fine. I mean, but just be mindful. Like, okay, so your support levels, you have supply and demand. So just know that your support levels are at the bottom, your resistance levels are at the
yeah.
top. And then, yeah, so if an area breaks, like let's say an area is pushing up and then it breaks a resistance level, it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna come back and test the support.
Yeah.
So it will end up being a support and resistance area opposed to just resistance only.
Okay. Thank you. That's my question.
Okay. All right. Sorry if I felt a little lost. I just wanted
No, you're fine. Thank you so much.
advice. No problem. Um, L, Ray, I see you on here. What was your question? Or do you still have a question, Ray? Okay. AO and Justin.
Hey, Jess, I had just rewatched the student call that you had posted, and I was able to kind of find the answer to my question. It was just stop loss placement on a minor time frame versus a higher time frame, but I had got that answer, so I appreciate it.
No problem. Okay. All right. So let's get back to where we were for tonight. So let me unhide these. And I'm kind of going to speak to what we were talking about previously in regards to trading in the midst of consolidation, but also piggybacking on this, well, going over this buy from this past week and where we are in the market now. So ultimately, so let's talk about a couple things. Why is this a double trend line right here? So let me delete one of those. Okay, so I'm gonna be changing between my trading chart and my not trading chart so that you guys can have more clarity without all of the noise in here. But it's very important that I start on this one just so that y'all understand kind of like all of the trend lines and where we are, because this is how basically the market flows and why when we talk about even drawing your 2 points or the trend line that Stacy had just asked about from the top, why even when you're drawing this and you're drawing your 2 points and drawing into the future, why all of it is relevant, all of it's important, and you don't want to just give up on 1 point. So let's go to Pepperstone first. All right. So Remember when we were last in our whole GU era before we got into this consolidation? We had a higher time frame. We reached this -27. We've talked about this, so you could go on past videos, but there is some filling in the gaps I need to do, seeing as though the Sunday calls, we've been doing fundamental analysis a little bit more heavily than technicals lately. So we reached this -27. From here, on a smaller time frame, we had a little bit of divergence here before we started pushing up, and then we had this missed consolidation that we were literally consolidating in between for like heavily I don't know, like 2-3 weeks, and then we had that gap down. That gap down we had originally talked about, and that was when Mr. Tony had came on the call. So if you guys need to revisit those Sunday calls, please do. But where we were, let's talk about this from this time frame first. So where we were, we had this smaller fib drawn on here. I'm gonna go ahead and extend this fib structure to here. Oh, I didn't know that I already hit. Okay, -27. This still could push a little higher, cause seeing as though this green trend line is above here. So be mindful of that. However, because we just left a high resistance level or even the area of consolidation that we were in, just be mindful everything needs a retest. Okay. So take this week step by step. But if I go deep into where we are, let's go into our trading chart so you can see all of the zones and everything. I'm gonna drop down a time frame first. Yeah. Okay. So if we go into our trading time frame, right? So this is what we just talked about. This was that fib that y'all just saw. And when I just said I'm going to go ahead and extend it, all I did was extend it to this point here. All right. So that's that same area. This is the fib I'm looking at. If everybody, let's just make it a little bit more bold so y'all know what I'm talking about. Ew. Hold on. Well, I don't want to have to go through each line because I have to go through each line to make it, but everybody sees the one in the back that I'm referring to, right? So we just reached that -27 on that overall structure. Okay. Now remember on that, I'm gonna put it back down for a second. I don't think I did that much. Okay. On that overall time frame, remember that green trend line is coming from below. All right. From the higher time frame. Now, if we look into where we are, we had this trend line that was broken and retested. When we broke and retested this trend line, we broke and retested it, but that was the gap that pushed down. So when we talked about how fundamentals always align with technicals, that gap that pushed down literally pushed a little bit past that -61.8 to retest this trend line area here, respected it, and then ended up pushing back into this consolidation range. The entire consolidation range, remember, we're sitting on a foundation level here, but that entire consolidation range ranges from this whole area, which we had just did a few seconds ago. Does that make sense? Is everybody following me? It's a lot going on, so I just want to make sure everybody following me before I continue.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Following.
Okay. So in that, when I was just telling Stacy where I said like there are multiple fib levels all throughout this. So and how sometimes fibs can be hit later than expected. So we have this fib here hit, boom, this one going to the upside. So point A, point B, price pushes -61.8, then drops back down. Stacy, this is the one that you were saying that you had from this point A to point B here, and price didn't reach -27.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so yeah. So this trend line, all price did was respect that trend line. And then we had price continue higher up. Now, from this point, you have point A to point B. This past week, I don't know when this was. I think it was Tuesday, I believe. Okay, Wednesday. Okay, so Tuesday, we had some divergence on a smaller time frame after we broke out of this. All right. So we broke out of this, boom, had divergence, push down Wednesday. So Tuesday was the divergence. Wednesday, we had our push down, and then price literally pushed completely all the way up for the rest of the week. I only had it going to this negative 27 right here because if you look left, this was the same area that was a previous high. I wasn't quite sure if it was going to break it at that point. So I was just taking it step by step. But this was that. So we had point A, point B, price literally broke, retested. And again, this is nothing more than what's in your course. It's just the market and taking it step by step. So this retested, we had our push up. I pulled here. Well, I had a take profit set there. And then as you guys see, now we're literally just rising. But that was my significance in showing you guys hold on, let me go back to this. And if you guys watch your previous calls, this is the same thing that we've talked about for a while now. So this is where this trend line's coming from. All right. So we have multiple tests. And literally, I mean, we're kind of already sitting on this negative 27. So when I say take it step by step, this is a higher time frame trend line. So remember, price can take a while before it reaches here. Price can literally do whatever it wants. But looking at this trend line here, it does look like price is going to keep rising to touch it before anything else. Now, again, it's already close, but again, this is also the higher time frame. So the areas that I'm telling you guys to be mindful of is because if you look at this, I'm going to draw it on here so that you guys can see. So when we had our consolidation for the week, this is what we were consolidating on all of those weeks. So y'all see that in there. However, if you look left, this is a very strong consolidation area, and we're on straight higher time frame right now. So this is not to be, you guys know that the higher time frame takes forever. I just have to show you guys the bird's eye view. It's like God, like, you know how in the Bible it talks about how our entire lifespan is like a blink of an eye when it comes to the creator. Okay. Not to get biblical, but just saying our entire life, like somebody could live 100 years and it's like a blink of an eye to God because of all of the years this, there. That is kind of how this is. Like, this was a lot of time for the past, I guess you would say, in trading time, like when you're taking your day-to-day trades and stuff like that. But when you look at the overall thing of what's going on, this is just a little piece of the puzzle compared to like everything that's happening in here. Is everybody following me? Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
this is the area where I'm saying, like, when I took it at that, took it down here, when I took my TP down here, it is because if you look left, and again, I'm on 4 hours, so it's going to look different when I drop back down. But when I took that take profit, I think it was like right around here, it lines up with these last highs that were here. Does that make sense? Make sense? This last high,
Yes.
whole
Yes.
area here. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm saying, what you want to be mindful for is I want to make sure now that we just reached this negative 27, we are on a trend line coming up that's very steep on a smaller time frame. I'm gonna go back to the smaller time frame in a second, but I need y'all to follow where we are on a higher time frame first. So this consolidating area, I want to make sure it doesn't happen again, but these are the points where I'm saying we just pushed back past with no retest, this and this. So does everybody see this area of, let's just draw this here. So here, do you see how price gave all of this consolidation over there? Price can give a lot of consolidation over here. Now, this still, because even if I were to highlight this in a big, this is still a lot of money. So when I say consolidation, I'm not saying that it's trades that don't need to be taken, because this uptrend, mind you, again, I'm on for an hour. If I go to the smaller time frame, this is easily like 100 pips, both ways. Do you see what I'm saying? So now if we break, like, let's even actually just look at this part on smaller structure. Okay. Hold on. Why am I not in auto? I am in auto. Why is it not expanding? Okay, here we go. All right, so do you guys see how this is still trades that are taken left and right in regards to structure? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so here, oh, that's what's wrong. I'm like, why aren't none of my markups on there? Okay, so this is the steep trend line that I was just referring to here. This just hit negative 61.8. Okay. But this is a 23.6 also. Now, remember, it's also minor structure. So what I'm looking for now, I was looking for this to be respected, which it already is respecting. But now, before you have any move next, this trend line needs to break if you weren't already in for this buy. Does that make sense? Because
Yeah.
I do want to see some sort of pullback of some sort. Let's look left. Okay, so, and honestly, we can drag some of these zones over, but these were minor zones. That's why they're purple. I would say the most immediate one would be this one, touching these highs here. And then once you have a break and retest of this, look to see how far our price pulls back. Now, we're in a very crucial area because we were so close to that green trend line. That's the part that I'm saying, take it step by step. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if that green trend line wasn't there, honestly, I would say look for sales for the week because of the break and retest of this, and then because we pushed so high last week. But because that green trend line is there, I just want you guys to be cognitive of that area. And obviously we all know, like, okay, we don't just hop in anything prematurely. Like, you have to basically dot your I's and cross your T's. But just looking at the structure, like, we're in an uptrend structure first. I mean, overall, we hit that negative 27, which is from a overall downtrend. But from where we have been talking about and what I have been inspecting, like, I don't know, the last few weeks, we have been in this uptrend pullback structure here. But because we pushed so high, this is what I was looking for already basically happened. So now we have to wait on our next move. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
when you say because we pushed so high, what do you mean by so
We
high?
pushed strong. Let me not say high. I don't want you to be, I don't want anybody to be overly critical of meaning so high. What I just mean is we had a strong impulse this past week. So usually after a strong impulse, there's always some correction that needs to be done before continuing higher. But
Okay.
what I was also saying is that, like, when we talk about our, what are we near, that green trend line on the 4-hour, sometimes that could be seen as a magnet. Now, it might not reach fully there, but those higher time frame areas is just something that you always want. It's really one of those things when I tell people, like, you don't want to just look at the overall picture and ignore the smaller picture. You don't want to just look at the smaller picture and not be aware of surrounding areas from the higher time frame. That's what that means.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So overall, you're looking for price to potentially push up to the green trend line, although it may not, and then ultimately pull back on that smaller structure within the pullback. a pullback
Well,
within the.
yes, but overall, what I needed to happen already happened. So now I'm trying to see, is this minor trend line going to break and retest? Because ultimately, again, the way I trade is after an impulse, I'm looking for a correction. I was already looking for this to come to this trend line, but now that we're at this trend line and we're rejecting it and pushing it higher, are we going to push past this point and go to that green trend line? I don't really foresee that being that strong right now. I need to
Okay.
see like where we are. It's like you see these resistance levels that's in the past.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to make sure is that we don't go after we break, like after we break and retest this trend line here, are we about to push back into consolidation? Are we about to push down to that consolidating area that I just showed you guys, or are we going to touch that green trend line? What I'm saying is if that green trend line wasn't there, then I will 100% say, okay, wait on trend line, break and retest, pull back down, and we're about to consolidate. But because that green trend line is there, what I'm saying is that you want to be cautious. I'm only pointing that out to be cautious. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you don't want to ignore what's around.
Right.
Right.
Jess, I have a question.
Yes.
So the overall fib is on 23, and we saw that we hit the TP1. Now I extended that fib, and it seems like this very last point, it's on 38. Yeah, 38.2 on the larger fib. So I wanted to ask if that's like the right thing to do, like
You talking about this one?
no, even larger than that.
You talking about all the way to the left of 4 hours?
All the way to 4 hour. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Because they already reached.
I'm waiting on that one.
You waiting on that one? Why is that?
Because we haven't really had anything to give us anything else. So if I go back to
What
my,
do
I don't have anything to give me anything else from this structure. Like if I look at, let me just show you guys again from a bird's eye view. If I look at this entire thing, remember how when we were consolidating so heavily in the midst of our GU structure?
Yeah.
For like, we were consolidating for like a full out like year.
Right.
Remember that? Where
Mhm.
we are, it's like I don't have anything to give me anything else. This isn't moving. It's not giving me new highs or new lows past what it's already given. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Yet.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not concerned about moving this one right now, because if I look at my totality of what I'm in, we're still, if you look at it from this, right, we're still technically in this entire,
Yeah.
like, we're not, like, I'm not going to adjust my overall higher time frame fibs because I'm not moving on that right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Like,
I thought, like, because we reaching out 23.6, automatically you reach out TP1, that's it. You need to extend it. That's like how my brain was thinking that time. So
well, no, it's not, and then it's not that you're wrong. It's just when I'm like, I don't really move my 4 hours, and I don't really move those overall structure higher time frame fibs until I have a reason to. This isn't intraday trading when you draw that fib. Does that make sense? Like that's not day trading. Like this fib, even from the conception of when this fib structure started, it's been like this whole thing is literally almost what, a year of structure. What does this consolidation go back to? 2023 March. So this is 2 years of structure in this consolidated area. Like what I'm saying is it's not that you're wrong. Like once I have structure, more structure form, I can move, but the thing is that this could take another 2 years to even move from this area. Do you see what I'm saying?
oh, okay, I got
So
you.
it's like I'm not, I don't know the word to look like, I'm not I'm not looking to do anything with this right now because I don't need to, because it's not doing anything for me to do anything with. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because at this point, right? Like if you look at this overall structure and we don't have any lows that's broken, we don't have any highs that's broken. Do you see what I'm saying? Like
So,
from the
mhm.
from the what I'm trying to get y'all to do is to trade relevancy, right? So we can say this is an overall uptrend, right? But where does this start? Like where this starts is what, August 2022, we're in 25. So this is, let's say, 3 years. All right. Now, drawing this structure here, right? We had a downtrend, which is why the what you're asking for in the first place is there. But if I look left, it's in the same vicinities as these lows right here. I haven't made a lower low of structure to make me want to strive to do anything else that's outside of what's already done. Now, if you were on a smaller structure, like a 1 hour and you're day trading in your day trading areas, 100% you would extend your fib. But what this fib that you're asking about is too high of a structure that I'm not looking to do anything with this price because I take it step by step so that I don't lose trades. I don't want to foresee, I don't like being wrong. Ultimately.
Okay.
I don't like being wrong when I trade. So I take it step by step so I don't ever have to be wrong. So if I know that, okay, like I'm it's like 1 + 1 = 2, like days of the week. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not gonna try to hypothesize or I don't even know what the words that I'm looking for.
Trade what you see, not what you think.
I'm trading what I see in this moment. So it's like, if I don't have any areas, like obviously this is retesting a back of a trend line, but this trend line again started in 2023. The second point that it gave was 2024. So we're talking about a year before a next point was formed. And now we're 2025 about to retest it. I can't say, okay, for the full year, we might retest this and be down for, but it's like, why would I do all of that or try to conceive that when I'm not sure of that because I don't have, like, does that make sense?
We
Yeah.
got you.
It's not like when
It does.
it's not like when I gave out the gold trade at the beginning of last year when I said everybody buy gold. Like that was common sense from a fundamental perspective, from a economic perspective, from a geopolitical perspective, from paying attention perspective. GU right now is so much volatility and so many things that's gonna happen way before that creates a new low in the first place that it's like it's not relevant for me to extend that fib because it's going to be forever before that even gets to another point. Does that make sense? Hopefully it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it
guess
makes
it's a
sense.
matter of time too. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And your actual day trading, the stuff that I want y'all to be aware of, and maybe we should do a whole call on how to trade in the midst of consolidation, because I want people to make money in consolidation because ultimately that's what's going to be like with a lot of volatility happening, volatility, I don't want to say it causes for consolidation, but volatility is going up and down ultimately. Now, these can consist of a lot of uptrends, these consist of a lot of downtrends, but I need y'all to be prepared for everything with this new administration. So I do think that we should have an in-depth call on how to trade in the midst of consolidation one day soon. But does everybody understand what I went over tonight in regards to that whole taking it step by step, but also where we are currently?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Does everybody understand? Because again, ultimately, I want to see a pullback, but it's not what I want. It's taking it again step by step. Like that trend line above, I needed to make you guys aware of because that's something easy that somebody could not see. That's something easy that somebody could not see and lose a call or lose a trade because of it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Anybody have questions on this?
No.
No? Okay. Everybody understand? Because I'm pretty much done here.
Yeah, Jessica.
We got it.
I don't have no more
Got
questions.
it. Thank you. We got it.
Oh, and
Really?
Jessica, I wanted to show you my chart on GJ real quick so I can clarify some structure because I know it's in consolidation
Okay.
on the 4-hour, but just where it's heading.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know how to do it.
Okay. You can share it.
Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay, so basically right now, first of all, this orange trend line that I had right here, because it's still trends that I see within the consolidation, and this 4-hour is my blue. Blue is a 4-hour and orange is 1 hour for me. So when basically, so I know it's still in this consolidation right here because it just passed that point, but of course it's still going back inside this overall right here. But on this trend that I have for this other orange trend line that I have from point A, point B, and then it's like kind of retesting it probably multiple times at the current moment. See right here. Right, so there's another retest of this, but basically this was a consolidation point from point A to point B, but I don't want to draw this bit because I know this like higher time frame trend line trumps everything. So I got to see because it's like an important area if it's going to bounce off of this area right there and then go down again, or basically wait. So actually wait until this trend line right here breaks and retests, and I'll just take it back up to that zone.
Honestly, I will wait just because that's a whole consolidated area and you want to be certain in your structure first. You want to make sure that's just not flagging and that is actually pulling back because where that is, that could push right back up to that gray zone that you have above. You see that you have there because that line that you have right there never also got retested. I would need to mark it up to give like a full analysis, but just based off of what I see right now, like in that hitting that orange trend line from there. Now, long term, especially because that push up was so strong, long term it could push back down into that, but you want to break out of that consolidating area first.
Okay. Yeah, because like right here too, because this is an area of interest that I'm looking at too to retest this, like this high within this area to go back down there. So yeah.
Seeing it from that perspective, that looks, seeing it from like that far pulled back out, that looks right.
Right. So yeah, I'm just gonna basically wait on my hands right now to see what's the deal, what's gonna happen.
The thing is,
and then this is a monthly.
Yeah. Once
a
you
monthly level too.
Yeah, once these moves happen, not once they happen, but once you have your confirmations, you know. Does that make sense?
Right. It does.
Like
for
you
sure.
literally know. Like sometimes it will be areas like even today where it's just like, okay, well, I mean, we've reached this area, so now we have to like kind of wait. Like, I mean, the waiting part isn't the fun part. That's the most disgusting part. But the crazy thing is you could be waiting freaking like 4 days for something that happens in a matter of 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes if it happens.
Right.
No, for real though.
Exactly. Yeah, no, true. And it's
That
like that's what I had to work on too, because like just like you said, it's like just waiting, and I finally like understand like just to be patient, because it's like right, it's like we don't have to trade every freaking day. Like when it's ready, and then you pull that trigger, and then you in that trade, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
yeah. Honestly though, I would say that's the thing about trading. That's why I set my alerts and keep it moving, because nobody has time for that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Nobody has time for that. I mean,
Oh, and then this too. Okay, so 1 second. So all right. Okay, so I had like for the 15 minute, because this for like a a counter trend trade for this, because I was waiting for the break and retest of this structure to at least actually it did, it just consolidated. But to go back, because if I said, oh, if I seen this retest right here, I would have took it up to this zone again. But is that valid though? Is that too minor? Because I know you say you don't trade the pullbacks or a counter trend of minor structure.
well, it's not too minor because you have other stuff that's giving you the reason as to why you would have took that trade. Because
Right.
bouncing off of that orange trend line too. Does that make sense?
Right.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
just you have one thing and you're going based off of that. Now that is a steep minor trend line, but it's not like it's invalid.
Okay. And then yeah, because other confluences, right, it didn't pass this low, and then it respected the trend line and the zone. It
Yeah.
wicked at this
Yeah.
minor zone too.
The
Okay.
exhaustion is a dead giveaway, but like you just need multiple confluences leading as to why you're taking the positions.
Right. Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Um,
Okay. Stop sharing.
all right. So I hear loyal crying, so I'm gonna exit left, but we're gonna do our consolidation call. We'll do it. I'll make sure we do it next week. And then it was something else I had to tell y'all. Oh, the intro video. Did everybody see the intro video uploaded in that course?